My fast track runners. Hopefully you're cool. Hopefully you're good. And hope you've had an awesome week. I've had a good week. Just yesterday I was able to go on the Santa Ana Santa Ana Santa Ana River Trail on my bike with a few friends. It was real cool. We went on a night ride and there were toads and we heard coyotes and we saw owls. That was so cool. Man, I love biking. If you guys have a bike, I really recommend going on your bicycle. It's so fun. I've always loved biking. So, yeah, if you guys have a bike, seriously, go out on it. It's so cool. So, I actually want to start this week's module with a punny joke. Check it out. Well, it's maybe not so much punny, maybe kind of more cheesy. So, why did the M&M go to school? It wanted to be a Smartie. Have you guys ever had Smarties? Those are quite sweet, but at the same time, pretty good. I remember they always used to give them at like birthday parties and such. Okay, so with that, we dive into our syllabus so that we can see the signposts that we have ahead for this week's module. All right, we are at module 6. Now we're moving into a really interesting thematic unit, which is language and identity. So I'm being very intentional with where I want us to end up. This is an English writing composition class, and by its very nature, we're focused on language and words. And what better way to really bring home the concept of language and words than our own personal language, right? Our own maternal language, how our language helps to create our identity. It's very much embedded within a deep part of who we are, our language, and as we're going to see this week, our names. So these are the signposts that we have for this week. Number 1, we have our final Success Center requirement, and that is going to be due on the 30th, which, if I'm not mistaken, that will be on Friday. Yeah, so that's going to be then. The last one, you guys have been doing good with the other two. Make sure to get this one in. Also, as you can see, I know things are moving quickly. We're having our research paper peer review workshop, which, remember, there's no such thing as a perfect first draft. Just get started, just write, and you'll notice that I'm being intentional with giving you a little bit more time here. The drafts are going to be due by Thursday this time instead of Wednesday. This is because of the research paper. I recognize that it takes a little bit more effort in the sense that you have to bring in some sources to bring into the conversation. So that takes a little bit more time. So I'm being mindful of that, and that's why rough drafts are being due Thursday this time around instead of Wednesday by 11:59 p.m. Remember, as in the other two previous workshops, you will not get a draft unless you submit a draft yourself by the deadline, okay? And the feedback is going to be due Sunday, as usual, by 11:59 p.m. So those are our signposts that we have. We have the last Success Center requirement, and we have our peer review workshop for our research paper. And then, of course, the discussion board that is bringing forth our thematic unit for this week, language and identity. So with that, let's dive into our Canvas page. And here we are. Okay, here's the link for the Success Center requirement, the last one. And, here's the peer review workshop. So I want to go over this now. So everything's the same, logistics are the same. This time around, the drafts will be due Thursday by 11:59 p.m. You will get your draft, just like before, 1 minute after this deadline. So you'll get it Friday, April 30, right at 12 a.m. is when the Canvas system will distribute the drafts. As usual, everything's the same. Feel free to integrate media as your feedback. It's always cool when you receive like a video message. I always found it like really personal and cool, which is why, my friend, surprise, why I make these videos. So it's like I'm there with you, right? I always thought it was really neat when I did the online classes and teachers did videos. I always loved that, so that's why I do it. Okay, so here's the workshop questions to consider when you get your drafts. Number one, highlight your classmate's thesis statement. In this case, remember, in the thesis they have to both establish just what the issue is that they're focusing on and what it is that they're proposing to ameliorate this issue. Remember, the solution is something that will help. It doesn't necessarily have to fix it all, but if it helps, that's considered a solution. The other trick, just a reminder, is that you want to select an aspect of the issue to focus on. So if your issue is, say, is like global warming, then if you focus on the aspect of, say, the greenhouse effect and how to counter that, then you want to narrow your focus even more to maybe say like cars and fossil fuel vehicles, right? So that's always the trick. It's very much like an inverted pyramid in the sense that, okay, you select your issue that you're interested in, and then you select an aspect to look at, and then the solution that you'll be proposing has to directly counter the detrimental effects of that particular aspect that you're looking at. So the point is, if you guys remember from the Irvin text, that very Zen quote that I loved, it was a well-tended garden is better than a large one full of weeds. And that pertains to our essay writing when we're working with topics, right? You don't want to have that large garden full of weeds. You want to have that well-tended one, and that translates to our topic to having a very focalized attention on a particular point so as to make your work that much more viable. And in this case, since it's an issue solution paper, then that's the whole point. You want to choose a specific harm of that issue, like a specific area, and how your solution will help with that. Okay, so focalize your attention as much as possible. And now that we're doing these workshops, if you're seeing in your classmates that maybe they've bitten off a really large chunk, and you can see that, you can help them narrow their attention with some suggestions. Okay, so obviously highlight your classmate's thesis because it has to be there, right? You need to have one because that's the whole central project of the paper. Is your classmate's central project, which is a thesis, an exploration of a real life issues? And then are they proposing a solution, which is, in other words, are they following the tasks that the prompt is asking for here? Is it clear just what the issue is that the classmate will explore? So I add this one because I've actually had some drafts for some students write. Since the dawn of time, mankind has been finding solutions to issues, kind of like I have in the prompt, but they leave it so general in the sense that we have a lot of issues, but they don't select one to focus on for their paper, which is an important part of the task. You actually want to choose one and then obviously the solution, right? Is their issue sufficiently narrow, or are they tackling something far too broad? Remember what we were saying? You want to help your classmate focalize their attention as much as possible so that their task is that much more viable. Tattoo that phrase in your head, that golden quote from the Irvin text, which is, a well-tended garden is better than a large one full of weeds. So if your classmate has a large garden, then you want them to have that well-tended one where they focalize their attention, right, on an aspect of their issue. Focus your attention as much as possible. That makes it all the more viable. Is your classmate's proposed solution clear? Okay, that's got to be something that is comprehensible for you, right? Is the solution clear? Do they make it clear just what it would take? So the cost, what would it cost to enact the solution? Will it take money? Will it take time? Will it take energy? Will it take new legislation? What will it take? Will it take all of the above? Make it clear just what that would be. Does your classmate's draft align with the indications of the paper's prompt? For this one, if you open the prompt, it's good to have it open as you're looking at these workshops to make sure that they're hitting the important points, right? Do you see any places in the essay that can be further developed? Okay, any weak areas that they need to bolster? Does everything in the paper work towards supporting its central project? This is the thesis. Remember, the whole point of a paper, of an essay, of an academic essay, is everything you're doing in the body paragraphs is helping to flesh out, to expand, to offer examples of, to bring voices into conversation, in this case, which is research paper, to help to support this project, right? This central project, which in this case is, here's an issue, here's why it's an issue, here's why it matters, here's why it's a big deal, here's what I'm proposing that we do to help with this issue, here's why it will help, here's what it would take to enact, here's why it would ultimately make the world a better place, or be of a great help and benefit to humanity and society, right? That's our thesis, that's our project, right? Okay, so because it is a research paper, we're compulsorily bringing in other sources, at least how many, friends? At least 4, right? Our claims, opinions, analyses supported by evidence from the writer's sources. Okay, so as you're looking at the drafts, look at some places where you're like, okay, you can have some, I can see that you can have some sources in these spots, and you can write those little comments for your classmates there. Does the writer address implications? Remember, the implications are the so what. Rather than just stating, okay, this is an issue. No, here's why it matters. Here's why it's important. Here's why it's a big deal. And then ramifications is, okay, if this issue is left unchecked, then a potential tomorrow could look like X, Y, Z. Get it? This is why it's a big deal. Like you're bringing that home. And that's what we do in college. We address implications. We say why it's important. We answer that so what question. And that separates the stronger writing from the weaker one. With the weaker one, if we're just reporting facts just without rhyme or reason, or making it clear why it's important, why it matters, then that falls on the weaker writing, right? We're just reporting. But here, answer that so what question, the implications. Here's our task, remember? The issue, why it matters. And then we were talking about ramifications. And then solution, why is the solution important? How can your solution help? Yeah, so we said all that. Okay, so these are your guiding questions for this workshop. It's the last workshop that we're doing, guys. So finish strong, have fun with it, go hard. My runners, keep on running hard, keep on sprinting hard. I'm so proud of you. Keep that pace. Okay, next one. Ooh, okay. So this is where the actual concept comes in for our thematic unit, which is language and identity. Here in this discussion board. So, this reading, actually, Leave Your Name at the Border, which is a very compelling title. You'd be like, leave your name at the border. What could that possibly mean? Is this something horrible I'm going to read? No. You're going to like it. It's a very interesting and intriguing one. So read this one, and this is going to present this idea. So Manuel Munoz brings this idea of the importance of names, the importance of pronouncing names correctly, the importance of the fact that our names mean things, right? Our names are parts of our story, of our ancestors, of what part of the world our ancestors come from and how we came here. Our names tell our story, and I love that, especially as a writer, right? And as writing students, hopefully you can appreciate that too. So this is what your task is going to be. In this discussion board, number 1, you are going to write your name, first name, middle name, last name, and you're going to search online. You're going to Google. Ultimately, it's going to look like this. You're going to search. First, you're going to write your first name, middle name, last name, and then you're going to look up, okay, what does your first name mean? So me, David. What does David mean? If I remember correctly, it means beloved one, something like that. So look at what your name means and look at the language that it comes from. What's the language origin? And you're going to do the same for your middle name and for your last name. I want to make something clear. I've had in the past where students have tried to Google their first name, middle name, and last name and wanting to get results from Google like all at once there. Nay. What you want to do is go name my name. So first, your first name. Find what the name means and what the origin of the language is. Then your middle name, if you have one. Then your last name. If your name is another language, if it's in Chinese, if it's in Japanese, if it's in Greek, whatever, what is your real name? Like, use that name, okay? Because this is how we're uncovering. Don't use your, like, if let's say you came from another country and you changed your name to something else, don't use that. Use your real name, the name that you were born with. Okay, so so you're gonna read the article here, and you're gonna do this name activity. You're gonna love it, because if you never found out this origin and of language origin and meanings of your names, this will be a chance to do so. So this is the other part. Names are an integral part of our identity, as they act as cultural markers and even tell a story about our ancestry. Why does the origin or pronunciation of our name matter? What'd you learn about your own name? And this is our reading. Leave Your Name at the Border by Manuel Munoz. Are Munoz views about names universal? Are there cultures where names have more or less significance? How do you know? Okay, so that will be the response to the activity here. Because it's a discussion board, please reply to at least one classmate's post as usual. I believe, yeah, that's it for this module. My friends, I leave you with that. Oh, let me make this bigger. I wish you a lovely week. Enjoy the sun, although it's been a little bit cloudy, but when the sun returns, enjoy that. And other than that, go for a run, go for a bike ride, go for a hike, go for a walk your dog will be happy. Exercise, my friends. With that being said, enjoy your week and see you next week.